BORTLE here, back from the LCS 3v3 team event, the first 3v3 team event of 2021, my goodness, of the online format. So we have here, top 8 3v3 team. Yo, please introduce your guys to the world, man.
So my name is Hash. My teammates were Cormac Adams and Tristan Pugh, and our team name is Tetrahydrocannabinol, which is weed. Yes.
Just purely because the abbreviation is THC, which is our initials.
Would you guys like to do your shoutouts?
Sure. I'll shout out Disciples, of course, the team I'm on. MetaMats, Card Market, Brotherhood, WAF, of course, the best Discord server in online Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I would like to shout out Cormac for the most part because we spent like way too much time. I think way too much than we needed to on this list, and it got us really good results. It did what we wanted from it, and aside of that, I guess shout out to our circle WAF, really good team. We have 4 teams in Top Cut. One of them is still playing out top 4 right now. Hopefully, we win 4 LCS in a row. We'll see what happens. But anyway, other than that, Cormac, if you have anything else to shout out, go ahead.
Yeah, so same as the guys, I want to shout out WAF, like our Discord server. The results we've had in like the online format have been insane. Like genuinely, like we have had 5 out of 9 LCS wins or something like that up until this one.
Yeah.
Hoping to make it 4 in a row this weekend. Like Ash said, we had 4 teams in Top Cut. It was 4 teams in Top Cut, right? Yeah, it was.
6 entered.
Adults, 6 entered 4 top. That was it. I'd also like to shout out my team, E-Man Games, as well. Yeah, follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, buy from us on Card Market if you're able to. Yeah, that's it.
Would you like to take it away with your deck, Tristan?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not convinced that this deck is like actually the best deck of the format or anything. I just really did not want to play Virtual World because I thought it was really miserable. I played the VIP tournament, I played Virtual World, and I just did not enjoy my time at all. So I went looking for other decks. Pure Shadol was an option, but eventually I settled on this bird deck because the logic behind it is that it FTKs Drytron and Virtual World in the same way that any other combo deck does, but it also does it to every other combo deck. Being able to end on, like, generally the end board is Appaloosa, the link to Ancient Warrior guy, and then either Avian or Simurgh, depending on the matchup. And that's just, like, unbreakable for most decks. They need to draw extremely specific. But it is a lot of fun. Like, there are some baseline combos with, like, Fractal and Warbler or Kinkabio. But once you learn those combos, the rest of the deck becomes pretty intuitive. I only learned the deck maybe a week ago. I think I did pretty well. So the ratios, the only questionable ratios I would say in like the Tri-Brigade Lyrilusc lineup, most people play 3 Cobalt Sporrow and 3 Sapphire Swallow, and I don't really understand why. They're both awful to draw. Cobalt Sporrow is only good if you have specifically Turquoise Warbler, or you can get into Ferrojeet, so it seems unnecessary. Most of the games where I would draw these were games that I weren't winning. Some people play 3 Kinkabio. Again, I don't think it's necessary. It's not something you generally want to start your turn with, especially going second. It's not great. Everything else is pretty standard. You just have, like, I wanted to make it as consistent as possible, so 3 Jack in the hand made sense. This card is really, really good. Most people will take Turquoise Warbler, so you can, if you know that they're going to take it, you can just reveal another card that will work. Kinkabio normally works in most situations. There were some times where I'd reveal, like, a DD Crow or Cobalt Sparrow to fix my hand. And then, yeah, I think that's it for the Lyriluscs. For the Tri-Brigades, it's just 3 of each. They're all just really, really good. Like, the more I played with the deck and the more I tested, I realized that the Tri-Brigades are just really good cards. Being able to, like, cheat out Link 3s just for having 3 monsters in your grave seems absolutely bonkers. You just get to make a slap and access code on the field with no effort at all. Same with Appaloosa, same with Shurag. Yeah, these cards are very, very good. I would look out for them in the future. And then, of course, the rest of the deck is just like bricks and hand traps, which is the way it's sorted. So, obviously, like Hash and Cormac, they made 3 Gamma, 3 Ash, 3 Droll. They just seem mandatory for the format, good against both the combo decks, good against other decks. And then I opted to main 3 Imperm. I really liked Imperm, so I Impermed a lot of Cloud Castles. I had a feature match on Sir Eminon's channel where I impermed a VFD and it just instantly won me the game. People were just not respecting imperm at all, and they really got punished for it. And then 1 DD Crow, so it rounds it off to 13 for a start, and DD Crow is just also searchable. It's also the same one of the tri-types, so it's Beast, Winged Beast, or Beast Warrior. So opening it means you can extend sometimes with the Ferrogy or banish it from grave for the Tri-Brigade effects. And then the last two cards, Apex Avian and Barrier Statue, both are pretty much required. Like, you can win games where you end on Barrier Statue with Virtual World because they're generally forced to attack over it and waste their battle phase. But if they can get to a VFD, it's very, very difficult to win if they hand trap you and then have a playable hand. So Apex Avian was my preferred endboard against Virtual World just because it just trades a lot more favorably with their cards rather than just getting attacked over. And Avian was, well, when your Simorg survives, you just summon Avian in the end phase and then you get to negate any of their hand traps and just continue going for game. The side deck was pretty straightforward. It didn't take very long to build, unlike Hash and Cormac. I just wanted 3 specific hand traps for Virtual World, 3 specific hand traps for Drytron. You just swap out whichever one of the hand traps is less impactful. Going second against Virtual World, I'd normally side out 1 Tenki, 1 Jack in the hand, and the Barrier Statue, just because you absolutely need to see a hand trap or you just cannot win the game. And then 3 Storm, 1 Duster, 1 Reboot for back row decks. You see it, you win the game. You don't necessarily need to see one of these cards to beat back row either, because this deck makes Zeus very, very easily. Resolving Turquoise Warbler to summon Cobalt, can then make one of the rank 1 birds, and the same as Drytron does with Nightingale, just protects it from all their back row. Like a secret hidden effect on Cobalt Spiral that nobody seems to read is when it's used as Xyz material for a wind Xyz, it gains the following effect. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. So many times in testing, I would just summon the Lyrilusc and they would go Conquistador, Chainlink 1, and I'm like, okay, chain the Lyrilusc, and then they go Punishment, and they just can't target it, so they just lose the whole board to Zeus every time. And then you just make a Simorg, and the game is over. Then the rest of the side is just for going first, because the deck has a problem where it cannot make a good end board versus droplets. So the 4 cards that I would side going first are specifically for countering droplets. So there was like a couple of options, like we considered Harpy's Featherstorm, but it had the problem where if you bricked and you couldn't put a Winged Beast on the field, then it was completely dead, whereas Judgment could at least potentially stall a turn. It came up like once or twice, so I think Judgment is definitely the correct call. An Imperial Order just can win games by itself. Probably shouldn't be a legal card. The extra deck is pretty standard. Link Rebo is necessary for protecting statues sometimes. You can also link off Nerval to get a search. That came up a couple times. The Ancient Warriors link is very, very good. It's basically like Hyraxial. It doesn't have to send itself. It doesn't have like a tributed effect, but it's also, you can do it in your turn. So that came up a couple times for outing Goes in match, because a lot of Numeron Eldritch were on that. So you would just only summon wins, and then you would summon this guy, bounce the Goes in match, and kill them. 2 Ferrogy. 2 came up like a decent amount of time. It's just basically an extended. It summons any of the Tri-Brigades from hand, and then it draws a card and returns a card to the bottom of the deck when it's sent to the grave. That came up a lot for putting away Apex Avian or Barrier Statue or Driver if you drew them. Harpy Conductor is important because it's a Winged Beast link 2. So you get to banish 2 monsters for a Tri-Brigade, and then since you have a Winged Beast, you can turn it into Simorg, which requires a Winged Beast as link material. Simorg is like the MVP of the deck. It's very, very difficult to out, actually. Like, Virtual World can have a problem outing it in main phase 2 if they don't get to attack over it, because it can't be targeted by card effects, and neither can the Winged Beast it points to. So that becomes an issue for Virtual World with outing Avian, because they can't just Qinglong and bait Avian. So they actually have to spend resources trying to get rid of those cards. And in the end phase, it'll special summon a Winged Beast with a level equal to or lower than the total number of unused spell and trap zones on the field. So generally, Virtual World can't set enough cards to stop you summoning a big monster. You can usually summon Nerval in their end phase as well, because it triggers in both end phases, so that just sets up for an OTK on the following turn very easily. The next card is the Desperate Doom Eagle. I'm not going to try and pronounce that first word. This card is actually pretty good. A few people play Rugal, the Tri-Brigade, Link 3, but Doom Eagle came up a couple times where you usually summon it as just like a stepping stone to get to Apollo, Access Code, or Shurag. But its second effect actually comes up where you can target a monster in your opponent's grave and shuffle it into the deck as a quick effect. So a lot of the time I would just summon it and shuffle back a Shen from their graveyard and then use it as link material to make Apollo, so they couldn't easily bait an Apollo negate. Next card is obviously Apollo. It's wind, so that's relevant for when you're locked into Barrier Statue. You can link off the statue with to make Apollo. Obviously just super generic negate. You can cheat it out with summoning Doom Eagle, which comes up in one of the combos, and just make a link to a 2-material Apollo. Access Code, again, just the easiest way to go for game. There were a couple of games where I would use a Link 4 to summon it, just because it was so easy to get Link material, and then it was 6,300. You don't generally get a lot of different attributes in the grave for its effect. It's usually only 2, but that's usually more than enough to attack them for game. 2 Shurag, this is the Tri-Brigade link 4. This effect is really, really good. So when it's special summoned, you can banish 1 card in the field. So it doesn't target, so it outs Dragoon. It makes it very, very awkward for Eldritch to deal with because they have to chain their cards, otherwise they're going to lose them. It also triggers if another Beast Warrior or Winged Beast is summoned to your side of the field. So if it survives a turn, you can summon another Winged Beast and then just banish another card in the field. It also has a second effect where when it's sent to the grave, you can add one of the Tri-Beast type monsters from your deck to your hand whose level is less than or equal to the number of your banished Tri-Beasts. So if you've summoned this, you've generally banished like at least 3 or 4 monsters to summon it, so you get to search for another Tri-Brigade monster, which comes up for playing around Nibiru. Very, very good card. Then next you have the 2 rank 1s. They're both absolutely necessary. Recital Starling is used for the combo to search for whichever missing combo piece you're needing with Sapphire Swallow or Nerval, which is why you just don't need multiple Sapphire Swallow. It also has 2 effects that a lot of people forget about. The first one is that it can boost its own attack according to its Xyz material when it's summoned. And the third effect is that all battle damage you take from battles involving this Xyz summon card is also afflicted to your opponent. There are a couple times where I had game and I missed it because I forgot about the third effect, but you can just crash into an Eldritch and they just take a bunch of damage for no reason. So that's very, very important to remember. Otherwise, it can just search missing combo pieces or DD Grow if you already have them. The second one, Assembled Nightingale, people know this from Drytron. They basically know what this card does, especially good in this deck. And then Zeus, to go with the Nightingale, just absolutely batters combo. Control, rather. And then Omega is actually really important because if you Gamma in your turn, after you use Tri-Brigade effects, you can't use other monsters other than Tri-Beast as link material. So you won't be able to link off the Gamma for anything. So you just make Omega, you banish a card from their hand, and then it also empties your field for the Turquoise Warbler as well, which is very important because you have to control no monsters to special summon it. Other than that, the deck is a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun than Virtual World was for me. It's pretty easy to learn once you get around to it, and the deck only gets better in the next couple sets.
So, did you regret not using Virtual World for this event?
Absolutely not. I would not have had as much fun if I played Virtual Worlds. We might have done better, but we went 7-1 in Swiss, so we couldn't have done much better in Swiss. And Top Cut was just sometimes you just lose the die at all, just get hand trapped multiple times. But no, this deck was definitely the correct call for me personally, just because it was a lot more fun.
And it's not like we had to carry Tristan or anything. His record was perfectly fine. All of us had really good records throughout the day, so it was fun.
Oh,
Absolutely.
nice. So, no carrying right here?
I mean, if you want to get technical, Cormac played 9 combo mirrors and he went 9-0 until top 8.
Yeah,
So,
Hash also went EXO in Swiss as well.
Yeah, but Cormac was just like the god. He played against combo like 9 times in a row and he just won every single time. Crazy.
Yeah, their records are insane. Mine was, I think I ended like X3 overall. There were 2 games I could have won in hindsight, but that comes with not learning the deck in time.
Well, guys, congrats on getting top 8, doing so well in these online formats for the LCS events. Pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cormac, Hash, and Tristan, for being on the channel again.
Anytime.
Sweet.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
And listeners, if you're not a part of BORTLE Nation, sub for BORTLE. It's that free and it's easy. Oh god, yes. BORTLE out.